Good morning. My name is Dr. Jordan Harris. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, supervisor, licensed professional counselor, and supervisor. And my specialty is in watching tapes of expert therapists breaking down what they do so that we can learn their skills. And today we're watching a young Carl Rogers work with this client, Gloria. And Gloria's big thing is she is having lots of questions about how do I talk to my daughter about my dating life. So let's dive in and see what we can learn from Carl Rogers.
Much to give me a direct answer, and I'm going to ask it, and I don't expect a direct answer, but I want to know, do you feel that, to me, the most important thing is to be open and honest? And if I can be open and honest with my children, do you feel that it could harm them if, for example, I could say to Pammy, I felt bad lying to you, Pammy, and I want to tell you the truth now. And if I tell her the truth and she's shocked at me and she's upset, that could bother her more. In other words, I want to get rid of my guilt and that'll help me, but I don't want to put them on her.
That's right.
Do you feel that could hurt her?
Concern. I guess I'm sure this will sound evasive to you, but it seems to me that perhaps the person you're not being fully honest with is you.
So,
Wow. I love this response for two reasons. Let's watch this again.
that could bother her more. I tell her the truth. And she's shocked at me and she's upset. That could bother her more. In other words, I want to get rid of my guilt and that'll help me, but I don't want to put them on her.
That's right.
So, Gloria, this client, basically says, I want you to tell me what to do. If I don't tell her, will it be bad? And if I do tell her, will it be bad? Tell me what to do, Rogers. And Rogers does this thing that I love because I've seen the opposite, right? I've seen therapists basically be coached to be evasive of clients' questions. And I agree with the heart of that. There are lots of things that clients ask that are not ours to tell them what to do. But I think it's very disrespectful, actually, to be evasive. Like clients know when we're sort of avoiding answering them. So we're not being clever. We're just sort of, I think we're just being rude. And then he does something really beautiful, I think.
Do you feel that could hurt her?
Concern. I guess I'm sure this will sound evasive to you, but it seems to me that perhaps the person you're not being fully honest with is you.
So,
I think this is really beautiful because up until this point, Gloria's focus is mostly external. What's happening with my daughter? What's the right thing out there? And this is a bid from Rogers for Gloria to actually focus internally. Um, most of the time, when clients get stuck like this, it's because they're not clear in their own values and they're trying to answer it externally. The only way that I know of, at least at this point in my career, to get clear on your own internal value, to get clear on your own values is to go internal. You have to be more aware of your values and your feelings. And as you do that, it will clarify what you really, really want, which direction you want to go in. Um, but what people often do is they try to figure it out externally. Um, and if that hasn't worked by now, it's not going to work. This is what I think of as rumination, right? Someone feels anxious, someone feels scared, someone feels sad, and they like try to solve this by asking the same question over and over and over again. Well, what if I gave the presentation like this? What if I gave the presentation like that? What if I did this? What if I did that? And it's like, look, those things are all important. But what's happening on the inside for you in this moment? If you can get clear on your inner world, then actually the external world becomes way more clear.
Because I was very much struck by the fact that you were saying, if I feel all right about what I've done, whether it's going to bed with a man or what, if I really feel all right about it, then I don't have any concern about what I would tell Pam or my relationship with her.
Right. All right. Now I hear what you're saying.
So I don't know what's going to happen next. I want to comment on what Rogers just did as well. What he just did was give her a motivating rationale. When I give trainings, clients or clinicians are always asking me, like, how do we motivate our clients to do the things that we know that they need to do? You know, you have a client who comes in and she's got a boyfriend who's a jerk, and it's so obvious that like she should leave him, right? Or you have a client who comes in who's way too harsh on his kid, and you're like, it's so obvious what you should do. It's so obvious to you, and it's really hard to motivate people. Well, researchers, some of them friends of mine, have basically discovered that there's a common pattern in how you motivate people. And one component of that pattern is giving people a reason, a rationale is what they call it, but it's basically a reason that makes sense in that person's worldview. It sounds very convoluted, but it's literally what Rogers just did. There's other parts to persuasion and motivating clients. Um, but the biggest part is giving them a reason to do the thing that makes sense given their worldview. Um, what this means is when you give someone a reason, you should think less, like, you should think about the facts, but think less about the facts and more about the person. So I'll give you an example. If I'm working with someone who is an artist, I'm going to say, I think we should explore your feelings, because your feelings are sort of like, I mean, they're kind of like the paint that make up the like bigger picture. And if it's just sort of all sitting there as like a blob, it's not going to be a really clear picture. But if you can really use these sort of blobs of emotions, these blobs of paint, and we get really, really detailed on the picture we're trying to paint, what we could actually understand about you can be this really, really beautiful sort of portrait. And that's a rationale that uses a metaphor that speaks to an artist, right? Um, if someone is a computer programmer, I might say something like, I think we should explore your emotions. And that might sound sort of like illogical to you, right? But emotions are sort of the source code, like the ones and zeros of um of how we think. And so if we can get those like in a clear sequence, then you can have a much more nuanced understanding of what's really driving you, right? Both of those are true. I believe in both of those, but the presentation of how I'm using it is changing based on the person. So there's different ways to do this. There's endless variety. But what Rogers is doing in this clip right here is giving this client a rationale to look internal instead of continuing to be external. Let's watch that one more time.
I don't have any concern about what I am. I was very much struck by the fact that you were saying, if I feel all right about what I've done, whether it's going to bed with a man or what, if I really feel all right about it, then I don't have any concern about what I would tell Pam or my relationship with her.
Right. All right.
So he says, I think you should focus on being true to yourself. And he uses her words, because you told me that if you feel good about it, then you don't worry about what you're going to say to your daughter. It's another way to use a rationale. Just a great way. If we're talking about using the person's own worldview to craft a rationale, what better way than to literally feed back to them what they've already said to you?
Now I hear what you're saying. Then all right, then I want to work on accepting me then. I want to work on feeling all right about it.
Boom. Boom.
But that makes sense. That'll come natural, and then I won't have to worry about Pammy.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Sold. She's sold. This is great. She's in. She's bought in 100%. I'm going to close with this one final idea. And this is what we call the therapeutic alliance. So most therapists think of the therapeutic alliance as how much I like my clients and how much they like me. That's not the full picture of the alliance. And the alliance actually has three parts. I always make this triangle when I'm talking about this. You have the top part of the triangle, which is your relationship to the clients, how much you like each other. You still have this part over here, which is what are the goals of therapy? Where are we going? And then you have the third part of the triangle, which is how do we get there? And you need all three. You need all three. And here's another example. If you go to your doctor and you think, I have the flu, doc, I don't know what to do. You may trust your doctor, and your doctor may say, well, you need to wear a mask. And you're like, that's 2020. Like, this is 2026. I don't want to go back to wearing masks. The treatment, the way of treatment wouldn't match what you want to do. So you'd have an alliance rupture, right? And you're probably saying, wearing a mask won't help me be not sick. What I want to do is feel better. So also the goals of treatment are not the same between you and the doctor. So, but if the doctor says, hey, guess what? I'm going to give you a steroid. You may love that idea. I'm going to feel better. And, that works for me. But let's say that you're like a health nut, right? And you're like, I don't want a steroid. And you're talking to your doctor and they're like, well, if you drink chamomile tea and I write you a note to stay home, then you can stay home. And then you don't have to go to work and you can take care of yourself. That's a different goal. All of these things are different ways to address the problem of I have the flu. And if your doctor doesn't match you in that, you can still have a rupture, not be on the same page about where we're going and how we're getting there. The same thing's happening here, but I guess in the opposite, because Roger's actually doing a really good job. He's basically given her one rationale. She's agreed. You know what? You're right. In order for me to solve this problem, the focus needs to be on me instead of being external and on my daughter. She's bought in. So it's a great shift. Look, my name is Dr. Jordan Harris. If you enjoy these sort of breakdowns, you can feel free to find me at jordanthecounselor.com/subscribe. I put out these sort of breakdowns regularly, at least once a week. All right, I'll talk to you soon.